Happy Mother's Day Sunday, everybody. I'm Dr. Gregory, and you're watching episode 15 of Dr. Gregory's Meta Moments. Thank you for being patient. I know you've been waiting a couple of weeks for another installment. Last week got ahead of me with all of that horseback riding and ranching and rounding up. It was a busy day. We were up at 4:30 each morning getting work done. But I'm grateful to be back, and I wanted to talk more about chapter 4 in the biology of belief. I wanted to remind you also about what it was regarding. Basically, we talked about how quantum physics is the new science and how that shows us the impact of quantum physics with regards to pharmaceuticals and how they impact our body in a much different way than we had originally theorized. Let's just give you an example. We originally theorized in Newtonian physics that when you take a medication, it would create a change in the process of a signal from, let's say, A to B to C to D, and it would either interrupt or help along the process from one point to another. But now that we know that the body is fully redundant and all the organs are integrated to a very powerful degree, quantum physics shows us that when we put a pharmaceutical in our body, even though it's meant to target a certain organ, it actually affects many different organs in our body and many different systems. So you can see this very complex pentagon here as to how A and B can interact with C and D and E, et cetera, et cetera. So it's much more complex, and that's why side effects, which we are actually saying aren't really side effects, they're just effects because it's involving the pharmaceutical that was put into our bodies. So let's get back into this particular chapter. I was talking about how it's similar to using 26 letters of the alphabet to construct every word in our language. That's why multicellular organisms can survive with far fewer genes than scientists once thought. So this redundancy is extremely important in the organism or the human body. So a recent example of tragic adverse reactions to drug therapy is the debilitating and life-threatening side effects associated with synthetic hormone replacement therapy. Estrogen's best known influence is on the function of the female reproductive system. However, more recent studies on the distribution of estrogen receptors in the body reveal that they and their complementing estrogen signal molecules play an important role in the normal function also of the blood vessels, the heart, and the brain. Doctors routinely prescribe synthetic estrogen to alleviate menopausal symptoms associated with the shutting down of a woman's reproductive system. But when the pharmaceutical estrogen therapy does not focus on the effects of the intended target tissues, you'll see it impacts and disturbs the estrogen receptors of the heart, the blood vessels, and the nervous system. So synthetic hormone replacement has now been shown to have very disturbing side effects as a result, such as cardiovascular disease and neural dysfunctions such as strokes. Adverse drug effects like those contributing to the HRT controversy are a primary reason why a leading cause of death is iatrogenic illness, which means illness caused by the medical industry or medical treatment. So that's a very important thing to note. When we look at the most common causes of death, especially in the United States, iatrogenic illness is actually in the top 5. In fact, I think it's even in the top 3. So let's just go back to a quote that's really, I think, very interesting. Richard Kahn Henry, who is a Johns Hopkins University physicist. Again, remember when we talked about there is no such thing as matter, that everything vibrates at a certain frequency, and it's like tiny little tornadoes. So if you really go down to the tiniest parts of an atom, you'll see it's just little rotating or moving molecules. It's energy, which is also why Einstein says E equals mc squared, hence energy equals matter. The universe is immaterial, mental and spiritual. Live and enjoy. It's pretty amazing. So an important study 40 years ago by Oxford University CWF McClare calculated and compared the efficiency of information transfer between energy signals and chemical signals in the biological systems. So an energy signal would be obviously something revolving a vibration. A chemical signal is what we commonly look at, especially when we're researching medications, etc. And doctors use this in medical school. The chemical signal seems to be what we focus on more, to believe it or not. So he did a study in the resonance and biogenetics, and he revealed that energy signaling mechanisms like electromagnetic frequencies are 100 times more efficient in relaying information from the environment than a physical signal such as a hormone, a neurotransmitter, a growth factor, etc. That has a really important impact on how you conceive all of this information, okay? We know living organisms, they have to receive and interpret environmental signals. That's how they stay alive, right? Survival's directly related to the speed and efficiency of a signal transfer, isn't it? So the speed of an electromagnetic energy signal is 186,000 miles per second, while the speed of a diffusible chemical signal is considerably less. It's less than 1 centimeter per second. So energy signals are 100 times more efficient and infinitely faster than a physical chemical signaling. So what type of signaling would your trillion-celled community or body prefer? Obviously, do the math, right? Meanwhile, the media essentially avoids the issues of death by medicine by directing our attention to the dangers of illicit drugs. They admonish us that using drugs to escape life's problems is not the way to resolve an issue. Funny, I was just going to use the exact same sentence to describe my concern about the overuse of legal drugs. Are they dangerous? Ask the people who died last year from iatrogenic illness. Using prescription drugs to silence a body's symptoms enables us to ignore personal development that we may have had with the onset of those symptoms. The overuse of prescription drugs provides a vacation from personal responsibility. That's what he says. Yep, that's what he says. He said it. And I think he's strongly referring to the opioid epidemic, or epidemic of controlled substances that alter the mind and spirit. And it's in order to band-aid the pain, but it really never fixes anything, increases functionality, or allows for a better life. It just creates addiction. So let's get on with the chapter. It's clear we need an interdisciplinary research in a promising and understanding area. A research that encompasses both quantum physics, electrical engineering, but that it also integrates chemistry and biology. Research like this will be particularly welcome because it's likely to result in therapies with far fewer side effects than drugs. And the research will only confirm that what scientists and non-scientists already know but may not realize they know. All organisms, including humans, communicate and read their environment by evaluating energy fields. Bottom line, because humans are dependent on spoken and written language, we've neglected our energy sensing communication system. And as with any biological function, a lack of use leads to atrophy. Atrophy means diminishment or lessening. Interestingly, Aborigines still utilize their hypersensory capacity in the daily life, and for them there's been no sensory atrophy. So for example, an Australian Aborigines can sense water buried deep beneath the sand, and Amazonian shamans can communicate with the energies of their medicinal plants. So that's pretty interesting. As I said earlier, we're in the midst of a very slow shift in medicine. It's propelled by consumers who are seeking out complementary medicine practitioners in record numbers. It's been a long time coming, but the quantum biological revolution is high. The medical establishment will definitely eventually be dragged kicking and screaming into full force into this quantum evolution because it's time. It's time to integrate the quantum field and the theories behind quantum energy into the study of medicine, study of the human body. It's time. Quantum magic is also being uncovered in one of life's most biological activities, photosynthesis. This is really intriguing, guys. Photosynthesis involves the capture of a photon of light by chlorophyll, a multi-protein complex. That's what chlorophyll is. And the energy of that light is used to mobilize electrons that empower the creation of organic chemistry from inorganic carbon dioxide and water. That's all it's using, right? The electrons are then transferred in the photosynthesis process, and it can choose many pathways as they travel through this protein complex. However, because photosynthesis is such a highly efficient process, electrons ultimately choose a single pathway. How? Quantum mechanics in the form of superposition enables a quantum particle, an electron in this case, to simultaneously experience all possible pathways and then choose the most effective one in which to travel. That's fascinating. But think about it. You're turning something from an inorganic substance, light, water, and carbon dioxide, into an organic substance, a plant. It's magic. A National Health Interview survey found that 83 million American adults spent $38 billion on complementary and alternative health care in the 12 months before the survey was published in 2007. There's no comparable more recent statistics, but anecdotal evidence does point to the public's continuing enthusiasm for remedies outside the traditional biological model. That's pretty exciting, you guys. So just getting back to what we were talking about, ultimately what you need to know is that the human body is impacted by chemical as well as electrical signals. However, the efficiency and speed of an electrical signal is thousands times more, obviously efficient. It's 100 times more efficient, but thousands times more speedy. So the body tends to prefer the electromagnetic signals, but we still have to rely on chemical signals. Also understand this, pharmaceuticals, although they are supposed to focus on certain organ systems when you take them, such as cardiac medicine, lung medicine, kidney medicine, etc., despite the fact that they are meant to target certain organs, they indelibly target all different organs based on where the receptors are for those particular pharmaceuticals, and hence side effects or effects occur. So you can't go with the archaic notion that we did originally in the study of medicine, that the process goes from A to B to C to D without it affecting all different aspects of it. So A can affect D as well as A can affect B, and vice versa. It's really important to know the profound integration of the human body. So it's also really important to note that the method of healing does not necessarily just require, or in fact, method of healing, the only way to heal is not through pharmaceuticals. There's other ways to heal, and that's why people are looking into more alternative forms of medicine. I'll give you examples of alternative forms of medicine, which include medicine that you can give yourself. Mindfulness, I consider that a medicine. Mindfulness is time where you meditate and you spend your time as much as you can out of the experience of thought. You're getting caught in a space, kind of in the quantum field, and you can imagine the type of vibrations that occur because your brain waves change when you're in a meditative state. It's actually why I happen to use a meditating headband called Muse. It's very interesting. Oh, my dog's snorting. Sorry, guys. Muse is a headband that measures your brain waves while you're meditating. So if you're in an active mind state, you'll know because the sounds get louder. But once you're in more a meditative state, which is a delta or gamma wave state, the sounds in the background start getting quieter and the birds start chirping. So it's basically telling you you're in a totally different brainwave state or electromagnetic energy field. Super important. But again, other types of alternative medicine, such as acupuncture, which primarily relies on energy zones in the body. There's also energy work, such as Reiki, and even techniques like massage therapy. Now, although that's tactile and you're getting a quote massage in your muscles, believe it or not, you are absolutely absorbing the energy of that person in the same space as you. Don't you do that when you walk into a room? You feel the energy. You can tell the energy of a person across from you and how they're experiencing life. And the question is, are you being influenced by their energy or are they being influenced by yours? Pretty interesting, huh? So anyways, thank you guys for watching. This was a long one. Just wanted to make it up to you. Appreciate you and love you. Bye.